So Airpods Pro came out 2 weeks ago, and ever since then I've been putting them through their paces just to make sure that they are as good as they sound on paper. This year I've already made a couple of videos on my search for the ultimate pair of wireless earbuds for my use case, and you have to keep in mind that every person is different, and more importantly, no online review will be as good as you trying on the headphones yourself and making your own conclusions. With all that being said, this is what a typical day for me looks like when using any pair of earbuds. I usually watch some YouTube or some TV shows if I'm eating alone. When I'm commuting somewhere, I usually listen to some music or a podcast, and on a typical day I usually run between 7 and 10 kilometers, so about 45 minutes of active exercise with earphones on. Now, one important side note, I wouldn't necessarily consider myself an audiophile like it says on the title, but I do consider that I enjoy listening to higher quality music with my Sennheiser HD6XX that I really enjoy using, and a high quality DAC and amplifier in the comfort of my own home as a main activity, without it just being a background thing that I'm listening to. So keep that in mind. With all that being said, I didn't set my expectations very high for the AirPods Pro when it comes to them being a pro product. You know, after a year of trying a lot of different Bluetooth earphones, I am quite aware that every single one of them has to make some sort of compromise, and at the end of the day, I'm just looking for the pair of earbuds that make the right compromises, you know, for my use case. So let's start with the single most important feature or characteristic on a pair of fully wireless earbuds. Are they easy to use and are they reliable? In short, yes, they are just like AirPods. They are reliable, easy to use, no fiddling around on the case to get them to connect or to get them to charge, no random turning on the pocket without you touching anything, just a simple, lag-free, reliable connection every time you pop open the box. And that's what you want. They're also compatible with Android. Just don't expect the autoplay and pause to work right out of the box, and you should be okay. Now, I know what you might be thinking, isn't sound the most important feature when it comes to headphones in general? And I thought like that for the longest time, but trust me, even if the sound is incredible, they have to work flawlessly. They have to always connect, always pair, always charge without you thinking about it. Otherwise, you're not going to want to bring them with you everywhere you go. And that's key. Speaking of bringing them with you, they still fit in the tiny pocket on your jeans that you never use for anything else other than AirPods, even if the case is ever so slightly larger in all directions, but it pretty much just looks like the same size, just rotated to its side and squished. Battery life is also fine for me. They last pretty much just as long as normal AirPods, and if you plop them in the case, you wait 5 minutes, you get 1 hour back of playtime, and that's great if you are low on a charge, which never really happened for me in my daily use, but you know, it's a good thing to keep in mind. Now, the second most important thing, how do they fit in your ears and how comfortable is to use them for extended periods of time? It depends here. Now, if you've never been able to use AirPods with your ears, these are definitely an improvement thanks to the over-engineered silicone ear tips. But if you can fit both of them, you might prefer the original AirPods because they generally feel more open and they feel lighter, which you might like. If you're a runner like me, sweat is always a concern, and the AirPods Pro are sweat and water resistant, IPX4. But to be honest, the most important thing when it comes to sweat is the headphones need to still stay in place when there's sweat around the ear area. And to be honest, they are okay, they're not exceptional. I was surprised a year ago when I tried the original AirPods and they did stay in my ears quite well. Even when I ran a half marathon, they stayed mostly in place, but this type of fit is much looser than a silicone tip isolating the canal. But normally when I'm running, it's quite easy with the vibrations for a little bit of water to seep into the ear canal. And if you make the mistake of adjusting the earphones because they're starting to feel ever so slightly loose, the ear tip will get wet, and after that is a shit show, and you can't really adjust them anymore because everything is wet. So you have to get a towel or your t-shirts and wipe your ear clean and then put them back in. So it's not perfect, it's okay. Now I still haven't given up on trying to find the best ear tip combination. Maybe someone will come up with a foam ear tip for this Apple mounting mechanism, and maybe then these will be perfect for running. Only time will tell. If you're not a runner, I think this will fit you really great, but it's the constant vibrations from running that make running as an activity a worst case scenario for in-ear earpods to stay in place with all the sweat involved. So maybe a foamy thingy. Think about it. Maybe foamy in the tippy of the AirPoddy. Maybe that'll worky. Who knows-y? And third, how is the noise cancelling and how good do they sound? Well, the noise cancelling is a game changer for a lot of people, me included. When my friends tried them, the reaction was pretty funny, I have to admit. Both of them laughed when they noticed that the computer noise and background noises completely faded away, and I noticed the exact same thing. It was a really cool experience. And those are the type of noises that the AirPods Pro are great at cancelling. Low frequency hummings in the background. They are really good at that. Removing cars in the distance, trains in the distance, people talking in the distance. They are really good. You still hear the higher pitch noises come through the noise cancelling without much of an issue. If you're playing stuff at a low volume, or if you're not playing anything at all, you'll definitely still hear those. Talking about low volume, I've noticed in the health app that I've reduced my average volume for the past 2 weeks by about 10 decibel, which maybe my future grandchildren will thank me very much for this very thoughtful decision to use noise cancelling. The transparency mode makes it so that these feel very similar to just normal AirPods just sitting in your ears, which is a good thing for that type of use case. The pass-through is quite clean, in my opinion one of the best I've heard on a pair of wireless earphones. Even if it's a little bit too pronounced on the high notes and on the S's, but it's overall pretty good. And that brings us to the sound. And for 279 euros, these things better sound incredible. But even with my adjusted expectations, I still felt disappointed by the overall sound. I mean, don't get me wrong, if you're coming from the default earbuds that come with your iPhone, these will sound incredible. These will sound much more full, much more rich, better bass response, better mids, better highs, and overall just better soundstage. They are definitely an improvement if you're coming from the default earbuds. And even if you're coming from AirPods, every single friend that I've shown these AirPods to, they preferred it by a mile when compared to the original AirPods. But in my ears, they don't sound very different. They still sound okay. I came up with a test where I put the AirPods Pro in transparency mode in one ear, and I put the normal AirPods on the other ear. And if you play the same thing on both, they don't sound remarkably different. They sound very similar, just with a little bit more isolation and tighter bass coming from the seal that you get with the silicone ear tip. Apple talks about a completely revamped sound driver and very improved sound, but in reality, I don't know. I just don't see it. Now, do I wish they sounded better? Sure. Are there better sounding pairs of wireless earbuds on the market for similar or sometimes even lower prices? Absolutely. But if you have a similar routine than me and you want a pair of wireless earbuds that you will want to bring with you everywhere you go and you will want to use every time you can, these are the ones I would recommend, and I think they're the best. So yeah, this has been it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, consider leaving a like and maybe subscribing to the channel. I have a lot of ideas and a lot of projects that are coming up in the future, and I'm really excited to be able to do more and share more in this channel. So yeah, bye.